I was taken out of the B-17 pool and assigned to a photo group to fly P-38s on photo missions. So many B-17s were getting shot down, they put me back in a B-17 and gave me a crew. And 5 missions later, I was a guest of the Germans. A moment I will never forget was when, on a combat mission, when my airplane was damaged and to the point where it wouldn't fly anymore. And after I got as many of the crew out as I could, I turned to get out of the airplane and it exploded. And I woke up, my parachute had opened itself and floated down. And when I came through the clouds and I could see the ground, I was over a lake. And I thought, oh, I'm gonna drown here yet, but I managed to move the parachute around enough so I landed on a little narrow strip of road. I saw a pile of logs and timber next to a little dam, and I was probably in a state of shock but didn't know it, but I was awful tired, so I crawled under that and fell asleep. And while I was asleep, my legs protruded out from under that pile of wood, and the next thing I knew, my feet were being tapped on, and they dragged me out from under the pile of wood, and I was captured there by 2 youngsters, teenagers, and a very senior citizen. And that started my career in a German prison camp. We spent about 5 days there being interrogated and over and over again. And then I got put on a train, and people would say, wow, because we took a train trip up the Rhine River and all the old castles and the beautiful scenery, except that we had shackles around one leg tied to the chair. VMLC, to me, is one of the organizations that does a great deal for veterans and does things that need to be done. The VMLC is a professional organization that has its sights strictly on the veteran.
Last deployment was on the Maddox. Our basic duty, for a while you rotate from being in the Task Force 77 screen. Destroyers will circle the heavies and the carriers, cruisers and heavies in the middle of the screen, and we provide anti-submarine screen on the outside. We're providing support to minesweepers, so if they got under fire, we could get between the shore and the minesweeper so they could get back out, get out of harm's way. Every now and then they'd let you know that they were there and they'd start shooting at you. So we shot back, and you do your duty. I first heard about the VMLC from Sam. When he explained it, it's something that I think is very, very necessary, because a lot of people need help, and the veterans sometimes they don't get all the help they need. I think it's a very great organization.
I was sent off to Vietnam. And on these hills, we were so-called camped out, very rugged. And then, of course, we would descend down from those hills and set up ambushes and wait for the enemy to move, where I diligently did what I was supposed to do, and maybe in the eyes of others exceeded the expectations, and I was recognized for it. And I guess they pinned the Combat V on that decoration because you're always faced with some very difficult challenges in that environment. Many times it hits your heart a certain way when you see the aftermath of what true combat can do to a very close friend, or maybe a Marine that you didn't know. And I remember this little boy, a little Vietnamese boy. He looked at us as if we were his friends, and waved to us, and somehow he came running towards me. And I was somewhat frightened at first, because you never know if somebody is detonated, charged up, but he came at me very quickly. I gave him a candy bar. And I mean, to him, that was like the greatest gift he ever got in his life. And now seeing some years later that there is a great organization like VMLC to reach out and honor you. Well, I can't hardly say enough good about VMLC.
I volunteered to go to Afghanistan, and I went to Bahrain and Kabul. I had requested to attend SEER, which is Survival, Evasion, Resistance, and Escape. And I was the first female to go through SEER in the West Coast. And it was an eye-opener. You survive off the land, evade the enemy, resist, and try to escape. When you have very little to eat and you're deprived of sleep, in addition to a lot going on during that training evolution, 9 days seemed like a lifetime, I became a drill instructor. And it was because my mentors, my staff and COs believed in me. They had confidence in me. You know, what I wear on my chest, decorations, I value them, I truly do. Afghanistan taught me a lot of things. And while it was in Afghanistan, there was a small garden. Then we had a little gardener that would come out. And every single day I would bring him a cup of coffee. He found out I was leaving and coming back to the States. My translator told him I was leaving. He told my translator, Nazim, well, you know, I have to get her something. You know, she's always brought me a cup of coffee. And I said, look, Nazim, I don't need anything. And he said, no. I talked to my daughters. He had 5 daughters. He didn't have a wife because the Taliban had killed her. So he came up with this other little book, and I had to give it to my wife. And I actually loved my wife. You know, it wasn't one of those forced marriages or anything. I said, Nazim, I cannot take that. I mean, he should give it to one of his daughters. He said, no, I was a gunny at the time. No, gunny, you have to take it, you have to take it. It would be an insult. Okay, I shall take it. And it was a book, and it was love poetries, and they were written in 5 different languages. He said no one had ever been this nice to him in his life. All I did was give him coffee, and that's huge.
I served in Operation Iraqi Freedom 2. I worked in personnel with 1st Cavalry Division Headquarters. I was awarded 6 Army Achievement Medals, and I was one of the first women in 1st Cavalry Division to get awarded the Order of the Combat Spur. A few months into my deployment into Iraq, we were bombed heavily by mortars on our camp, and a lot of vehicles were getting hit by IEDs and rocket-propelled grenades. It was at that time that I decided, as a single mother to my 4-year-old daughter, that I should probably just write a letter to her for the future in case I didn't make it back. One of the best memories that I have from my time in service was when I raised my hand to re-enlist for 1 more year to deploy with my soldiers to Iraq. I felt as if it were my duty to deploy with my soldiers and lead them. Being honored by a great organization like the VMLC is important to me because they share my mission in providing the resources and tools for transitioning warriors to build stronger communities here at home.